Nope. It's spooky season officially, so you know what that means. I wanted to make this a quick one since my Space Marine 2 review took a little longer than expected to make, so let's not waste any time. The game starts up with you waking up in a dark room alone and lonely. From there, your only goal is to escape. Much like how I tried to escape the confines of this prison we call life daily through heavy substance abuse. Unfortunately, there is no alcoholic beverage found, so we must find an alternative method to leave. While no one is found as we explore a bit more, there are some rather strange sounds or shit stains on the walls depending on the roll of the 3-point dice. That's about it for an intro. Let's talk about the other junk. First of all, the game came out in early 2015. So why the hell am I reviewing it now? Because it's a short game and that helps me with making a short review. Get off my back, man. I work 2 jobs on top of this, okay? Anyways, for a small team of indie devs, it ain't too bad. The lighting can be dull and the look of things isn't always perfect, if ever. The draw distance is especially bad with you barely able to see a dick's length ahead of you. However, the monster design is pretty good. Of the 3 monsters you will encounter, one looks like a Scooby-Doo villain, one is a ripoff of Alien without being Alien, and the final one is a ghost that has old lady hair. But is actually kind of terrifying. Although you likely won't see much of them as you play because of how much you'll try to avoid them. Sound is an interesting bag of candy. On the one hand, things sound fine. Steps, light flickers, light switches, the general ambiance. But then things get interesting with other sounds. Monsters are unique, but sharp most of the time, so even when you have your volume down low, it will hurt your ears when you run into one of these guys. Even the cameras sound rather strange, as when they see you they will set off a loud and annoying alarm that is unlike anything I've heard. Kind of like when me and the boys come back home after a night of drinking. There's just no way we are sneaking back inside without everyone in a 2-kilometer radius hearing us. There are individual themes for the 3 monsters when they chase you, which is kinda nice. Otherwise, there is hardly any music for this game aside from the spooky ambiance. Which is why I suggest that if it is too spooky for you, you can turn on a Joe Rogan podcast. Likewise, if you want it to be more spooky, you can immerse yourself more by taking off your headphones and listening to the sounds of your fat dog walking around outside your room. Oh, and a fair warning, this game did not get proper sound balancing because one moment things sound fine and the next you find an audio log.
Testing. Testing? Huh. It works. Might not be enough.
When talking about the gameplay, however, I was surprised with how much interactivity came from this little indie game. There are a surprisingly large amount of ways to use all the various things you find. You can shut off pipes, use fuses to get light, place tape over security cameras, put some gas down and light it, or yourself. It was one of the parts that I really liked about this game. They even managed to bring back my favorite tool for blocked doors that I call the Monster Master Key. The basic gameplay follows a roguelite kind of game in which every time you die, the game resets with some items and maybe some rooms mixed around. The basic layout of the ship stays the same and there aren't really skill points to have, so each time you die, the only real progression is your skill. Hopefully. Also, each time you hit new game, it has a chance to change up the monster. The monsters act differently to one another, and have certain weaknesses and tactics to use against them. For instance, the Brute, or the Goo Man, is loud and glowing, so you'll hear him and see him more likely than he sees you first. However, the Grandma Ghost makes lights flicker whenever she is near, but doesn't hardly make a sound until she is right on top of you. To fake you out as well, you may have the Brute on the boat, but some lights may flicker because of faulty wiring or something, so until you get chased, you don't entirely know which monster is after you. Most of the time. This helps keep things fresh, as you'll likely die a lot when trying to beat the game for the first time, unless you get really lucky with item spawns and can quickly fix your escape plan. For the most part, however, you'll be walking around and looking for things to fix one of 3 escape paths and running or hiding from the monster. The longer you take, the more the monster will become immune to some of your tricks, and it will even look in common hiding spots if you hide too much. The silver lining is that you can outrun them at all times, but because of their behavior, they may sneak up from behind, or you might simply run into a dead end and die. The monsters never retreat, only get stunned, so if you are in a corner with them, you might as well just accept your fate rather than drag it out longer than needed. Each escape path has multiple objectives with it, and because of the randomization, it might be better to complete objectives from all 3 until you get close to finishing one. Each ending is also tuned to whichever monster you have chasing you, which technically means there are 9 endings for those that have nothing better to do. Seriously, go outside and touch some grass, my man. The game is also very stable, and I never had any issues on the technical side. However, that doesn't mean that it is 100% bug-free, as there are an abundance of floating objects, AI glitches, and exploits if you want to break the game. I couldn't replicate any of these, but you can still find them online easy enough. Finally, there's the story. When you play, you may come across notes or those ear-shattering audio logs.
Testing.
You don't lose these upon death, but they will spawn repeats that just go into the void when you pick them up, so no stress there. I tried as best as I could to find all of them, but with the randomness to the game and my short deadline to get this video out, I just ended up googling what the rest were. To sum up the important bits, a scientist, who I can't remember the name of for the life of me, was experimenting on some kind of strange specimens and noting all kinds of their behavior. At some point he needed to transport them to a different location overseas, so they loaded them onto a shipping container along with all these Chinese goods on the ship. None of the crew was notified on what was inside the containers, and several started to suspect things. They didn't need to suspect much, however, when the container seemingly blew up from the inside and some of the crew started going crazy or ended up missing. At first, things were strange, with technical issues like water from the shower giving people third-degree burns on their pale ass cheeks. But when they found holes in the engine and other spooky happenings, it was too late. By the time you wake up from some kind of incident, the ship's crew have all been disposed of and the specimens are now fully grown and out to kill you. It's written in a way that any of the monsters could be the one monster, and despite the possibility of the audio log voice actors likely being some of the devs, they gave it their all. I just wish the quality was better. It's a short story, and the biggest problem with all the build-up and background is that you can find all these notes or audio logs out of order, or never find all of them because of the roguelite systems. As it is, you're not missing too much, and it's probably for the better. Hence, why I didn't place a spoiler warning before. Admittedly, Monstrum surprised me. Sure, it wasn't amazing, but it was worth the $15 or so that I spent on it. It often goes on sale, and I think it is a simple and fun indie horror game to pick up for the season. Thanks for watching, and if you like this kind of content, consider subscribing and leaving a like. It really helps out. I'll see you soon.